Hello, everybody. My name is R'Aliza Sperling, and I am the director of HerTorah. I am delighted to be here with Zoe Fertik for what I'm sure is going to be a really wonderful conversation about the high holidays that are coming up and how we can prepare for them. HerTorah is a project of SVIVAH. SVIVAH is about creating a more nourishing communal faith experience for Jewish women, where we define both Jewish and women very broadly. If you want to be with us, we want you with us, and welcome. We love that we're multi-generational and diverse in background and affiliations. We come together in celebration and support of women, our strengths, our unique perspectives, and our ways of contributing to the world. At HerTorah, we come together to learn Torah together. We sit together, we are in Zoom spaces together where we talk to one another and engage about Torah texts. And in the process, we get to know each other really well in a way that we couldn't have really been able to form relationships otherwise. Thank you to everyone who makes HerTorah possible. Thank you to Ariella Mortkowitz and SVIVAH. Thank you to Yeshivat Maharat for your partnership, and a big thank you to the Aviv and Covenant Foundations for your faith in HerTorah. This month of Elul, we're taking a departure from our traditional HerTorah gatherings, and instead we are interviewing really fascinating and wonderful Jewish educators like Zoe about the upcoming high holidays, about what tshuva, repentance, or changing life direction might mean, and about the Torah that they've been thinking about and are taking with them into the new year. Please take a minute to sign up at the SVIVAH email list at www.svivah.org and follow us on Facebook and Instagram so that you don't miss any of these phenomenal speakers. We can't wait for you to meet them. And today, I am so excited to introduce you to the fabulous Zoe Fertik. Zoe is Associate Director of Jewish Content at the Ashman Family JCC in Palo Alto, California. Her position is in partnership with Binah, the Jewish Movement for Social Change. Zoe previously lived in Tel Aviv, where she founded a Beit Midrash program for secular Torah study in English at Binah's Secular Yeshiva in Tel Aviv. Welcome, Zoe.
Hey, how are you?
Great. It's so nice to see your face again.
Thank you for having me. You said we're gathering in Zoom spaces and getting to know each other as best we can, but you and I got to know each other over Zoom, so it's totally possible.
Yes, yes. And we are across the country from one another. And
They are. I'm in California right now. I'm all the way on the other side.
yeah, and I'm looking out on the Atlantic Ocean right now in Savannah, Georgia on vacation.
Wow. Well, hi,
Amazing.
Savannah.
So Zoe, it's August. A lot of us are on our trips looking out on the ocean. It's hard to believe that Rosh Hashanah is coming up and that it's the month of Elul.
I'm not ready. Are you ready?
I am not ready, but I'm hoping that you will get me ready.
I was hoping that you will get me ready. No, Rosh Hashanah is really sneaking up on us this year. We say it's an early Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is early this year. September 6th, Labor Day is one of the earliest Rosh Hashanahs I can remember. And I'm feeling like, it's not time.
Yeah. And in some ways also being that it's the second COVID Rosh Hashanah, that's
Right.
hard. It's like I really thought last Rosh Hashanah that we would be done with it and that this Rosh Hashanah would be normal, whatever that means.
Yeah, I have to admit, and I think I've heard this from a few people. I actually had a really positive experience during COVID with the Jewish holidays
Mhm.
because we were so bound to the house and there were so few activities that the holidays became a much bigger deal in our family calendar. They were sort of all we were doing in any given month was celebrating Purim, or all we were doing was Hanukkah. So
Mm.
I actually don't mind this second Rosh Hashanah during COVID because I feel like I just went through a full year cycle of really digging into the Jewish holidays and having sort of the time and space to clear my mind and be ready to learn more and experience the Jewish holidays without some of the extra noise that comes from a busy schedule. So I'm actually kind of into COVID Rosh Hashanah.
Nice. It's a great
Surprisingly.
perspective to have. I think I really appreciated the high holidays last year as a time to just sit and kind of come to terms with everything that was going on. And I have to say, I loved being outside for prayer. I thought that
Mhm.
was, especially on Yom Kippur at night, when Yom Kippur was about to end and I was outside. It was just beautiful. I would love to continue doing that.
Yeah, we're planning on hosting Rosh Hashanah meal, and we are going to have it outside for like just a little bit of added safety. And there's something really like Israeli about that, which I don't usually experience with Jewish experiences in the States. So that part of it has been really nice. And we're getting ready over here. Like my son was just telling me like, here's how we can organize the tables in the backyard to fit 15 people in a safe way. So there is a Rosh Hashanah feeling sort of coming down the pipe, which is exactly what Elul is for. We are gifted this whole month to prepare. And so even if it's sneaking up on me, I still have even 2 weeks now to get myself ready. And I'm so grateful for that extra time.
Yeah, yeah. So, Zoe, you mentioned that you were having people over. So, I'm going to do an awkward segue and ask you my first question, which
Sure.
is what do you believe is the role of community in helping people find new paths? Often we talk about teshuvah, repentance, changing direction as kind of an individual thing.
Mhm.
But what's the role of community and what can we get from community and what can we give to community in terms of finding the right directions?
Such a good question, because obviously finding new paths or experiencing tshuva, right? Some sort of returning renewal, some sort of, you know, uh, it's hard to translate tshuva, but this experience that one goes through or one hopes to go through during the high holiday period of return is so personal and it's so individual. Like the things that I want to work on, the things that I want to change, that I'm sort of meditating on as the high holidays approach, they're so much only mine, right? They are
Yeah,
so mine, but I also can't do them alone. I need support. And I think that's exactly the way that the Jewish tradition treats this experience, which is that this experience, this finding a new path, this tshuva, it's only yours, it's only mine, but everybody is doing it and we're all in it together. And the way that I see that in the liturgy, for example, is in these little like sneaky, sneaky clues. So, for example, I'm thinking of the Ashamnu Bagadnu part of the
mhm,
liturgy when we're all listing the things that we have done wrong in the last year or in our lives. And that list, which is alphabetical, comprehensive, right? From A to Z, the things that we've done wrong, is all in the first person plural.
yeah,
Ashamnu, Bagadnu. It's not Ashamti, right? It's not I messed up. It's we messed up. We were deceptive. We betrayed others. And so, what's so smart about that, and I have this experience when I've said that prayer out loud, is that I'm actually going through the list and thinking, did I do that? Did I do that? And there's something that's like a little bit easier or appeasing in that I can like think about that list of things that we've done wrong. And it gives me the opportunity to say, did I do that wrong? Whereas I might not get to that sin, that mess up on my own. But when it's put in a communal frame, when it's put in a
mhm, mhm.
plural, I have the sort of like opportunity to think to myself, did I do it? And if I did it, then I can also think, "Ah, everybody did it, right? So I don't have to be so hard on myself because I think, everybody has this mistake. Everybody messed up in this way. So it allows me the opportunity to go through a list of things that I might not even come up with on my own, to really think about the whole list of things that I want to work on that even I might not have thought of myself, and then to think, okay, these are the things I need to work on, and it's okay. Everybody's working on them, but I know my list now.
Wow. I often think as we're doing that Ashamnu Baganu practice, what it might look like if, everybody in my community now I live in New York. I used to live in Washington, D.C. If we had some sort of secular space where we all got together and did that together, like how amazing would that be in terms of what our communities could look like, the vulnerability that we could show to each other.
Well, what's so brilliant in what you're saying is that you're not going to do this necessarily on your own. You need to like sit with a lot of other people and think everybody's doing this, everyone's doing this work, we're all in it together. And yet there's a privacy in that too, because when you hear the list just spoken out as though everybody's doing it, you don't have to admit out loud to other people, you know, I did the A and the M and the T sins on this list, right? These are mine. You don't need to confess. You don't need to say it out loud. You just say, we all did it. And you in your head have the privacy to say, these are the ones that are mine.
Yeah, that's so fascinating because I guess before our conversation, I would have thought it's embarrassing, it's shameful to get together with others and say, I did this wrong. Like you don't want to admit it, but you're flipping it and saying, when you say it all together with everyone, you can kind of own what you've done without shame.
Yeah, yeah, without having to say out loud, these ones are mine. You're just
Yeah.
all did it. But of course, you know, and I know which ones are the ones that like hit, you know, that resonate.
Yes. And hopefully I'm not, standing next to somebody and thinking, oh, yeah, and she did this one.
Right? That's
Yeah,
good.
I'd have to do tshuva for that all over again.
Totally. That's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that's so interesting. So, as you've been going through your year and experiencing a very strange year and thinking about the high holidays, can you share with us a piece of Torah that sustained you over the past year?
Yeah. You know, I mentioned on purpose that this has been a year of really connecting to the Jewish calendar.
Yeah.
Teaching also throughout the year this course called Holidays for Heretics. And
Oh, amazing. I love that.
it was my weekly tour through the Jewish calendar. And we went from Elul last year, and we just are finishing now with a full year of Zoom classes, all of which can be found online, holidaysforheretics.com. And so I was really connecting to the Jewish cycle. And I had never really thought about it on a weekly basis, just like what is happening in the Jewish calendar today? What is happening in the Jewish calendar next week? What is happening in the Jewish calendar the week after that? And I was going through the whole series of events. And one piece of Torah that I connected to as I was doing this learning and this investigating and this experiencing is actually one that it's a piece of Torah that I know well. I've known it since I was a kid. I can sing it. And yet it came to life in a new way as I put it in context of the whole year. So that piece of Torah is from Purim. It's very, very well known. Misha nichnas Adar marbim besimcha. When you get into Adar, when you enter Adar, the month of Adar, which is the month when Purim happens, joy increases. It's like a fun song. It's a simple, straightforward idea, and it's kind of like obvious to understand. Like Purim's really fun, right? Other fun month. But I had never experienced Purim in its location before. I'd always just sort of been like, oh, it's Purim. But this year, as I went through a whole year, I experienced Purim in its moment and in its context. And what I learned or relearned from that line, Misha nichnas Adar marbim besimcha, is that everything in the Jewish calendar has a time and a place. And there's a moment when you actually are dedicating yourself to happiness, which means there's also going to be a moment in the calendar when you're dedicating yourself to sorrow.
Yeah.
And so there is a time and a place for every emotion worked into our calendar. And you have to actually make an effort to both experience that emotion at its time and to limit that emotion to its time. So happiness is not just a fun Purim party. It's an experience you're trying to cultivate at a particular moment and only for a certain moment, which makes happiness not just like a fun byproduct of costumes, but it makes it a spiritual endeavor, one that you should try to experience in its time. And then you're going to try to experience sorrow in its time. You're also going to limit sorrow to its moment. But over the course of a year, you're going to get to access a whole range of emotions, which might not be coming to you naturally given your circumstances. Last year we were in COVID. It was hard to cultivate happiness.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're having a good time in the summer during the months of sorrow, and it's hard to cultivate sorrow.
That's
But
always a problem for me. It's so
yeah,
hard. Yeah.
but our calendar says each emotion has its time and its purpose. Don't overdo it. Don't be too sad. Don't be too happy. But do your emotion, have your emotional experience at this time and for this time. And over the course of a year, you will get to tap into the whole range.
Interesting. So now in the month of Elul, what emotion are you cultivating for yourself right now?
Yeah. So this month, I think, is our month of trying to cultivate what I would call sort of like an energy, like you're gearing up. So it's the time where you're saying, in the next month, I'm going to be really reflective. I'm going to be really quiet. I'm going to let things happen to me and I'm going to receive. But in order to prepare myself for being receptive, I need to gear up. I need to get everything in order to receive. It's like meditating. When you are about to meditate, you have to clear the space,
Mhm.
set up the chair, put on the headphones, whatever it is. This is your month to set the table, to gear up, to be ready, to put everything else, sort of to check things off your list so that you can then receive whatever's coming in the next month, in the month of Tishrei. So this is the energize yourself, gear up, clear the table, prepare time.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like practically?
Yeah. I mean, it can be like as silly as journaling, not
Mhm.
silly, or as straightforward as
Yeah.
journaling. But I also think it's just cataloging. It's like taking the time to say, what happened this year? What am I putting to bed this year? What am I bringing with me to the next year? You're not going to do that preparatory work in Tishrei. In Tishrei, you're dealing with the anxiety of the new year coming.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
before you get to that anxiety and before you're ready to just receive whatever's coming to you during the high holidays, it's the time for you to say, okay, I'm going to think about the last year. I'm going to make some phone calls. I'm going to do some journaling. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to catalog. I'm going to talk to my loved ones. I'm going to make my photo albums. I'm going to print all the photos, put them in the album, put it on the shelf. Consider this year done so that I can then receive whatever's coming to me in the next month when the new year starts.
What I especially love about that is that, I've been thinking, we're all on vacation. How is that a good time to prepare for Rosh Hashanah? But the way that you're framing it, it's actually a great time, meaning I can have some time to myself, relax, think about the year, start to think about, I love that phrase you said about what I want to put to bed, what I want to continue, what happened. It's actually a lot of what we do on vacation in a kind of non-stressful way. And that really reframes for me how August can be a really great introduction to the high holidays.
It really is, and we're doing the same thing in our house. Like we're relaxing, but like, oh hey, do you want to clean up your desk today? Yeah,
Yeah.
let's take stuff to the Goodwill,
Yeah.
right? Let's clean up the freezer. So that kind of stuff is happening now when we have this time, this vacation time to just, organize. And
Yeah.
then once that organization is done and we're rested and we're ready to gear up, then we can receive whatever's coming to us in the hard month of Tishrei.
Zoe, thank you so much for your beautiful Torah. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
to everyone who's listening, please sign up for the rest of our interviews with our wonderful educators at www.svivah.org and sign up for our mailing list so you can get information about all our events. I want to wish everyone, and especially you, Zoe, and your family, a Shana Tova Metuka, a sweet and happy and healthy new year.
Shana Tova.
Thank you.